So this is the remediation video for power functions and operations, which is a lot like poly operations, but the notation can be a little confusing. So make sure you're watching the right one. In order to complete this, or to earn a retake, you got to complete this remediation page. So we're going to go over a few examples, especially the ones that I think troubled y'all the most. Number 2. So we have function g and f, and they want me to subtract g minus f. So what I'm going to suggest you guys do is bust out the colors and go slow on this question. Function g would be x to the third plus 5. And they want you to subtract function f. And there's nothing wrong with you using parentheses around your functions all the time, as long as you know what you're supposed to do with them. So function f is 3x plus 5, but remember, we're subtracting these two functions. So just like back in poly operations, it is best if you guys distribute the subtraction sign to the secondary poly, and you just get a new problem that you can simplify. So x to the third plus 5, and then this becomes a minus 3x and a minus 5. This back number is the crucial error that kids keep making. So now when you simplify, there's really not a lot of work you can do here other than positive 5 and negative 5 will combine to nothing. So your final answer, if you write it in standard form, would be x to the third minus 3x, and then you don't have to say plus 0 because that's weird. So now, when I look down to the next set of questions, they give you some poly operations again, but this time they want you to evaluate them at a value. So they want you to plug in x equals, sorry, not x, in this case it's a. They want you to plug in a equals 1. So it's up to you when you plug in the 1. If I was you, I'd just plug it in right away. So if you take function g and you plug in a 1, you get, let's see here, a little mental math here for Mrs. Apruso. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. And then if you take function f and you plug in a negative 1, not negative 1, you plug in a 1. A little mental math again, here we go. You get 7. And then they want you to add them together. So, well, it's not really that hard, guys. Negative 6, oh, helps if you can write though. Negative 6 plus 7 gives you an answer of 1. Now, if you added the functions together and then plugged in a 1, that works too. So if you took like negative 3a minus 3 plus 4a plus 3, and you simplified everything you could, well, the 3's would cancel out and you'd get 1a. And if you plug in a 1 right there, guess what you get? You get a 1. So either way that you do this question, you're going to get the right answer as long as you understand the notation. Be careful on 5 and 6. The notation, again, is what's going to get you. This means to multiply. So you're going to set up a multiplication question for yourself where you take function g in parentheses and you multiply it by function h in parentheses. I think I crossed that off halfway. Now this is not a good final answer because you can simplify this. So you're going to distribute. So the 2n to everybody in the second half. So careful here, this is a 2n to the third power. And then 2n times 3 is plus 6n. And then keep going.
Sue Johnson, can you call extension 2339?
Negative 4n squared.
Sue Johnson.
And then a minus 12.
2339.
And
you.
man, must be your lucky day because there are no like terms in that problem. So this is your final answer. So the notation, the setup, the understanding of what they're asking is really the challenge here. So on number 6, be careful. This is another case where, yes, they want you to multiply them together, but they also want you to think about x being equal to 3. So whether you plug it in at the beginning or the end of your problem is up to you. Your choice. If you're looking for my opinion, I think it's easier to plug in the 3 before, but that's your choice. All right, take a look at number 7. A lot of kids weren't sure what to do with the domain restriction. So g divided by h is not really that exciting. So you take function g and you throw it into the numerator, and you're going to indicate division by just creating a fraction. So g divided by h would look like this. There's actually no simplifying for you to do here, so this is the answer of g divided by h. The domain restriction is the problem though, right? So the domain restriction in a fraction says that your denominator can't be 0, so you can't divide by 0. So in order to figure this out, you set up a little side problem and you say 4x plus 2 cannot be 0, a little anti-equation. And then you solve it. So 4x cannot be negative 2. which means x cannot be, if I divide by 4, I get negative 1/2. And that's your domain. You say x cannot be negative 1/2. So I need both things in order to get this question right. You set it up, which is not hard, and then you calculate the one thing that x can't be, in this case, a domain restriction. And then the final concept in this section is called composition, but we're going to compose at a number. So remember, this notation sometimes looks like this. Instead of h of g of x, they'll write like hog h of g with like a little 0, a tiny o it looks like, of 8. So this means the same thing. The idea is you need to start from the inside and work your way out. So you're going to start by calculating g of 8. And you figure out what that is. I meant to put an equal sign. I don't know what happened there. Alright, so here's function g. It says 4 times n, so you're plugging in a 4 times 8. That comes out to a 32. Then, once you figure out the inside, you can work your way backwards. Now it says find h of whatever you just got. So h of 32. So function h, which is up here, see him, is negative 2 times n, which you're going to plug in a 32, plus 1. So a little simplifying here, let's see, negative 64 plus 1 is a negative 63. That is your answer, okay? So composition's a little weird because you work from the inside out, and then the final answer you get is the answer to the problem. You don't have to do anything with the two numbers. So start on the inside, get your 32, plug it into the next function, get your negative 63, done. I kind of like composition, but I'm a math teacher, so that's a little weird. So good luck. You got to finish up the worksheet. Once you turn that in, you'll earn your retake. And if you need a full-out lesson reminder, go ahead and watch the lesson on power functions. I think it's titled Power Functions.